Alright, bro. I'm gonna just VOD review real quick. I'm gonna do a short video so that way you can just focus on a couple things because I can dissect this 23-minute video and it'll take a very long time to get through all the micro stuff and it's just shit that's not really important right now.
Easily.
I'm just gonna give you like two or three things that are common issues for you and then you just work on that for now. So there is a lot of stuff that you did well in this game. Um, and I'm gonna highlight that more so because I just want you to focus on doing more of the things that you're doing well, um, and later on we could focus on this thing, like some of the things that you should stop doing. Um, so before we get in to this, I just want to basically point something out when it comes to Overwatch and angles. Angles in Overwatch are very important because the maps are very different in this game. So some maps that are like this are super linear, which is, you know, these tight, narrow hallways that are just really long, right? On a map like this, it's tough to play a hero like Moira because she suffers against range. And on this map, that's pretty much what, is played. So you kind of have to be smart about where you're playing because you can just get shot across the map. So when you hear me reference main, this is what I'm going to be talking about, right? Pretty much the path where the cart is going to be. So, hold on, I actually have to take off full screen and put borderless. There we go. So, when I say main, this is what I'm talking about. It's this long, narrow hallway here. Everything else is not main, right? So, I honestly forgot how to use Epic Pen. I used to be able to like change colors and shit. Um, so this way over here, right? This that's an off angle, right? Because you can rotate, and there's a door down here where you can shoot out of, right? Or you can go up the stairs up here to where the Juno is. This is an off angle right here, and then there's the stairs that go in through here, and there's a side angle, and this right here is an off angle. The yellow is main. The pink are all off angles. The problem that a lot of people in this rank suffer from is that everyone on both teams just sits main and just spams each other the whole game. You have to be the one to take the off angles for a number of reasons. Uh, it completely changes the dynamic of the game and it makes the game on your team 10 times easier. I could sit here and talk to you for 30 minutes about angles and why they're important, but just know, I'm just going to give you one example. Alright? What's going to happen here, your Juno is actually taking an off angle here, which is great. She's actually doing what she's supposed to here, while the rest of your team just sits here main. What's going to happen is your tank is going to sit main, and the rest of your team is going to sit main. I mean, your Pharah's already dead, but that's besides the point. There's four of you here main, and what they're going to do is all they have to do is just shoot in one direction at your team, right? Look at the Ramattra here just shooting at your entire team because all of you are just standing right next to each other. So what that's going to do is for your tank, he's going to be getting shot at by 5 people, and the bullets that miss your tank are gonna hit you guys. And this is why your Pharah dies. Because 4 of you are standing on top of your tank and taking all the damage here. When instead, you could be here, right? You could be here, making them look at you. I'm not telling you to go out and off angle and play the DPS role and, you know, and try and go for kills, but make them look in different directions. If you're playing here, you know, the Ramatra is going to be forced to look at you here, right? If you're playing, like I said, here, you know, you still have cover, right? You can still be a distraction. You can still do damage, right? Because right now, your team doesn't need heals. Like, yes, your Pharah needs heals, but you have another support, right? That can't play as aggressive as you can because you're playing Moira, right? So take the off angles. If you just sit here, main, with the rest of your team, which happens most of the time throughout this video, you're going to get your tank killed. You and one other support cannot out heal 5 people shooting at your tank. Your tank is going to die if you don't start off angling. So start off angling, right? You have this here. You have this here. You have this up here where your Juno is, right? You have a million options, and this is a map where it's extremely hard to off angle. And here, you already have like 4 options. On other maps, you're going to have way more options than you do on this one, but you have to make it a habit to do it on every map. Okay? So don't get your tank killed. Don't get your DPS killed, because they're not smart enough to take the off angles themselves, so you have to do it. If you don't do it, nobody's going to do it, and your tank is just going to continue getting exploded, and you're going to continue getting 40,000 heals a game, and wondering why you're losing. So just keep that in mind. If 5 people, if all they have to do is shoot in one direction to hit your entire team, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. So make the attention be split and make them use and make the other team have to look at different angles, so that way there's not so much focus fire in just one general direction where everyone is going to be shooting. Okay? So that means if this is main here, this is main, get out of there. I know you're probably, you know, worried about healing your tank. You got to heal your tank. You have another support, and there will be times, most of the time, where you're going to be able to heal your tank. But there's going to be a lot of situations in this game where your tank is going to be full HP, and you're going to be throwing orbs and trying to heal your tank when your tank is full HP. And then when you use your resources and you have no more meter, you have no more resource meter for your heal, and you don't have an orb, and your tank gets destroyed because there's just 5 people sitting behind the tank waiting for the tank to take damage. Your DPS are supposed to be taking angles, yes, but you got to remember you're in silver. They're not going to be doing that, so you have to do it yourself. You got to remember that your teammates are just your teammates, and you can't control what they do, so don't focus on what they do, because you're not going to be able to. You're not at their keyboard. You're not going to be able to change what they're doing. So you have to be the change yourself. You the one that you have to be the carry. Alright, so here you are, sitting main. Throw a damage orb, that's good. I want to see a lot more of that. Moira does so much healing. I want you to try and use your damage orbs a little bit more, because it helps regain your resource meter. Right, so the more damage you do, the more heal you're allowed to do with you know, your primary fire. Now you got to be a little bit more aware here. You're doing damage to the Ramatra when your Sojourn is getting punched, right? So your Sojourn is half HP. You try to heal her. Now Ramatra's running at you, and instead of healing your Sojourn here, who's half HP, you start doing damage to the Ramatra. So just try to be a little bit more aware here of when to heal and when to do damage. face tanking here, right? Let's try and be careful here with your positioning. There's a lot of times in this game where you're positioned really well, but then there's a lot of times where you kind of just forget and you just kind of autopilot, and then you just end up in front of your tank, right? You never want to see five enemies on your screen. That is bad, always. Unless you're using like Cole, you never want to see 5 people, because that means 5 people can see you, and if 5 people can see you, 5 people are gonna shoot you, and you're gonna die. See, this is just another example, right? You get caught out of position here, and you get your fade forced. You don't want to get your fade forced. I mean, you can get your fade forced, but make it so that way, if it is getting forced, you're getting value out of it. And the way that you're getting value out of it is by taking an aggressive off angle, and you're forcing cooldowns and you're forcing pressure in your direction. Right now, you're not forcing anything because you're just sitting main. They're gonna shoot at you. They're gonna force your fade. You're gonna have to get out, and you got nothing out of that interaction, right? Alright, so everybody here on your team is full HP. Let's see what you do here. Okay, you go for some damage. You go for a damage orb. Fine. So you got your forward face, your fade forced here for no reason, right? You blew your cooldown early because you got scared of this cast walking up on you. And that happened because he snuck up on you because you were playing main. Get off main. Remember, in this scenario here, remember this is main here, right here. You need to get off this angle, right? You're playing Moira. You can play here, right? There's a room in here with a health pack. You can play this room here. You can play this room here. And if they force you out, they force you out. That's fine. You can play here by the stairs, right? You can play here. All these are different angles that the team is going to have to deal with you. If they don't deal with you, you're going to kill somebody in their backline, or their tank is going to die because he's not getting heals. So take the angles. You have another support. Don't feel like you have to do all the healing yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're playing with a Zen, or you're playing with a Mercy, or you're playing with an Alari, and you need to be the main heal always, that's a different story. But right now you have Juno. Juno does an insane amount of healing. You don't need 2 of these like massive heals coming from your supports almost ever. So if you have another support that can do some decent healing, you need to be on an angle forcing pressure off of your tank. If 5 people are shooting at the tank, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. If 5 people are shooting at your tank because everyone is behind the tank, your tank is going to explode and you're never going to be able to do enough heals to keep your tank up. Help your tank by taking an angle and forcing pressure off your tank. And living while you do that. That's most importantly. Your tank is just giving up here. I don't know what they're doing, but whatever. So now that you know more so about angles and how much that can help your team, I'm just going to show you a couple examples of where you do that on accident probably, and your team wins the fight for it. So I'm gonna move on from that, and I'll just I'll point it out when it happens. Right now, I'm just gonna focus on ult usage. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna slow it down. Let's go back here. So your Juno ults here, right? So you guys are kind of in the resource advantage here, but I want you to see why your team wins this fight so easily, and why you win this exchange so easily, right? If you were here instead of where you are right now, you're getting blasted by Alari, and you're probably gonna get blasted by this Cass who has a damage boost. But because you're behind here, you're doing all this damage to Cass, and he's not even looking at you. He doesn't even know that you're there. This right here is an off angle. Their Cass can't just shoot in one direction and do damage to your whole team because you are over here on a different angle. This right here is the power of an off angle. Because watch what's gonna happen now. You didn't need to ult. I'm gonna go into that after this. You did not need to ult here, but he dies no matter what here because you're positioned where you're supposed to be.
Surrender to my will.
Alright, this Mercy dies without you ulting, so you kind of wasted your ult here, which is something that I'm going to get into next. But that is what you need to be doing all the time. Also, hold on a second. I just want to make sure that I'm recording, because if I haven't been recording, oh no, I am. Alright. Why is my taskbar showing now? Whatever. Yeah, like see, like that was perfect. Bad ult, but your positioning was great, and your team won the fight for it, right? So let's see what happens here. Farah dies. You're sitting main again. Now, look where you fade. Right? You fade, and where are you again? You're off angling, right? Because this is main right here. This is main right here. This is main right here. This is it's all this right here. Right? It's this curve. Now look at where you are. You are here on this angle, and your team is over here on this angle shooting them, and your tank is here, right? So your tank is on main. Two of your teammates are off angling over here, and you're off angling over here. I know this is a little messy. Hold on, let me just clean this up a little bit. You're here on this off angle. Your tank is main here, right? Your tank is main. You have two people off angling on the stairs. Your Juno and your Farah. And watch what happens because of that. You ready? Their cast is looking at you.
My power emanates.
And you get this cast 1 HP almost. Ready? Look at their cast's health, and now look what has to happen. He's running away from you. The Mercy has to now turn around and help the cast, and she can't necessarily. She's Valking right now, so she's going to be able to heal multiple people. But if she wasn't, she would have to pick right now. Am I going to keep my cast alive, or am I going to keep the Ramatra alive? And the reason why she has to make that decision is because you're off angling. This is what you need to be doing all the time. I'm not saying you have to be in their backline like you are here, kind of. But because you're on a different angle and not just sitting behind your tank, you almost kill this cast here. Right? You almost kill him. I don't care that you died here because this is exactly how you're supposed to be playing. This is what you need to be doing every single fight. If you do this every single fight and you off angle like this, you are going to win a lot more than you are right now. I promise you that. Keep off-angling. That is what you need to be doing every game. Not sitting behind your tank and spamming heals. Keep off-angling. I don't care who you're playing. The next thing that we're going to talk about is alt usage. I only want you to focus on two things for now, because, like I said, there's a million things that go into this game, and it's just not worth trying to focus on a million things at the same time, especially when the two things that I'm telling you to focus on are very, very big, and they take a lot of time to learn and, and practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to your alts. And just talk about your alt usage a little bit. So your Juno's ulting. Right. You take a lot of damage here. And you start alting backwards here. Right? Moira Cole does damage and heals at the same time. So this is one of the few exceptions in the game where it kind of helps to be main. Right? And when you get to like real high level play, you can start going for some flank like, ults with Moira. But for now, when you're going to ult, if your tank needs heals, you're probably going to have to, be main, right? So instead of being in front of your team, using your ult backwards, you should probably be behind your team using your ult forward. Because while you're doing heals for your team, you can be doing damage at the same time, right? So instead of being here and only strictly healing, because the problem is here is that you could have done the same amount of heals with an orb and your primary fire at the same time than you did with your ult. So your ult here was kind of, it didn't really do anything. It kept your tank alive, but you could have killed their team or made them back all the way up. But now you guys are going to get a lot of pressure because you just used both of your support ults, and now they're going to use their ults, which is, they have Valk. They have Mercy ult. Now, the reason why this cast just died is because of the same thing that I've been talking about before, is this off angle, right? So your off angle here was bad for your ult, but look what it did afterwards.
Surrender to my will.
Because you were on an off angle, even though you had a bad ult, look what happens here. Their cast goes to chase you because he has to contest you, because you're just sitting here healing your team for free, and he dies for it. You did that. That was you. Right? That happened because you were in the right position. Not the right position to ult, but in the right position for the fight. This is just another example of how off-angling helps your team so much. Because you're just doing shit, and they're not even looking at you. You know how you complain about how like your team doesn't look at people that are behind you? You're doing the same thing to them right now. You have a not so great ult here. Ult is over. Their Ramatra is just sitting next to you, not even looking at you. Their cast has to come look at you. He dies for it, and look what you go to do. Here you are, just doing damage on the Ramatra for free. And you win the fight for it. That is how strong off-angling is. Your Juno had a terrible ult. You had a terrible ult. You guys were down one. You won a 4v5 after you used two ults and got nothing with it, and you guys won the fight. Because simply you were on an off angle. That is literally why. That is how strong off angling is in this game, and why you need to do it so much. Alright, I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm just going to go to your next ult. Yeah, I mean, this is a Zen ult. I mean, you kind of want to save Zen ult for their ults. If they're not using ults, Zen ult is going to be kind of useless in most situations because nothing happened here, right? Your team ends up dying anyway, right? Because there was nothing really for you to save them from except just the regular fight damage, and you end up dying, right? There are certain support ults. Support ults are strong defensively, like all the time. That doesn't mean you have to use them defensively, but that is a pretty surefire way of getting value out of your ult, is looking at your comp, or looking at, whatever character you're playing, and then seeing what you're going to use your ult for against their team, right? So a good ult for you to use your trans for here is for Ramatra ult, because it lasts a long time, his ult, and your team can get out with it and kill him. You don't want to use your ult for things that have really, really high burst damage and that can just one shot. So, Cass ult, right? If Cass starts ulting, it doesn't matter if you're using trans. It doesn't make your team invincible, it just heals them fast. But his ult one shots people. So if he gets a skull and he charges his ult long enough, he's gonna blast your entire team. It doesn't matter if you're using trans. They're still gonna die. So let's see what your next ult is. And here it is. Their cast pops ult, and you pop trans. And that does nothing. Now, he dies for this, but your trans had no effect on that. You can body block with your ult, but he's just going to hold the ult and hold you out of position, and you're going to die for it. So, again, just try and use your ult here a little bit more. Think about it a little bit more. Because cast ult, like I said, he can just blast through your trans. He'll kill everybody on your team. Because it doesn't matter if they're full HP. He can still one-shot them, right? So here, the ideal scenario would be for you to use trans against Ramatra ult. Same thing with Moira, right? You can't really Cole against, a Cass ult. You can't really Cole against Valk or a Bastion ult. It doesn't really do anything for that. But you can Cole Ramatra and keep your team up while doing damage to him while he's using his ult, right? Cass ults again, and you press Q. Again, you're not really doing much for your team here. Yeah, you got them back to full HP, but they weren't. They were gonna get healed up anyway because of where their team was. Their team wasn't gonna get shot by their Cass. Your team got out already. And even if they did, stay in, your trans is only gonna be able to get them to full HP. And once their Cass holds his ult long enough, he's gonna be able to one shot through your ult. This is going to be the last example here that I show you of off-angling and what it does. They don't even know that you're here, bro. These people, they're blind. You're off-angling here and they have no idea. And look what happens this fight. Look what happens here. You're shooting them for like 45 seconds straight. They have no idea where you are. You're not even moving. What is this?
It's go time.
You're still there. Look how much damage you're doing. They still have no idea where you are. Look at you. Your team wins the fight because of this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why off-angling is so important. Your team just won the fight because you were on an off angle. Just you. Just you. No one else. No one else was on an off angle. It was just you. You've off angle about 3 times in this entire game, and every single time you do it, their entire team dies. Just off angle. You need to focus on that for now, and that's pretty much it. And your ults. Like, we're gonna go through the last of it here. That's pretty much it. You have another ult here. Let's see what it is. Yeah, I mean, come on, dude. There's no one even peeking the cast here for you to be using trans. Right? The cast is in fucking Africa over here. And your team is all behind cover. And you press Q here. For an ult that doesn't even really help your team against that ult. So just try and plan ahead of time when you're gonna use your for which ult you're gonna use yours for. So that way you don't have to think about it. Okay, I hear that ult going off or I see that ult going off. Now I'm gonna press Q because this is not helping your team here. No one is even peeking the cast right now. You're saving no one from his ult. Because now your team can use that, your team is going to be able to use that ult. See? Because what do they do now? They pop Ramatra ult. Luckily, your team wins this because your D.Va saved your team's ass by killing 2 with D.Va Bomb. But if those 2 didn't die to D.Va Bomb, you guys lose this fight. D.Va Bomb is one of the worst ults in this game, and your tank was somehow able to get 2 kills with it. If your tank doesn't get 2 kills with this here, your team loses the game here because you ulted too early. And you don't have your ult here for Ramatra. He kills your entire team here if 2 of his teammates aren't dead right now. Be more careful with your ult. I want you to use it. I want you to use it often, but I want you to have an intention with it and make sure that you're using it for the right ult, and defensively. That's gonna be it for now. 2 main things is off angle, get off main, start, getting on these off angles more. Even if you're playing support, it doesn't matter, because it changes the game for your team, like, to an extreme degree. And just plan your ults ahead of time, right? Think about your ult when you're going to use it ahead of time, so that way you're not scrambling to press Q when it does happen, and you end up using it for the wrong thing. Work on those 2 things, and we can revisit and do another VOD review later on. But you do those 2 things, and you're going to see that your rank is going to climb like insanely high, insanely fast.